In early 2008, a new drawing had been put out, hoping that it would bring new leads, hoping that somebody would come forward saying that they knew where he was. But by October 2008, there was still nothing. And so there was speculation, I don't know where it came from, that maybe he committed suicide. But family and people around were saying, you know, is this the way the police are just trying to scale back the investigation by coming up with this idea that maybe he'd committed suicide in a way to try and just scale back the investigation. Reports of speculation about his location continued, and on the 15th of January 2009, an article in Japan Today, a report from the magazine, said that Ishinashi had fled to the Philippines, and so they were questioning whether he was there. And on the 21st of March 2009, on the run-up to the second anniversary of her death, police released a life-size sort of cardboard cutouts of Ishinashi, and they had them in like the entrance of every train station and airport and bus station, and they had them in some large like superstores and shops, and they were just hoping that somebody had seen him, and they just wanted to kind of raise the profile and try and raise the case a bit. And then on the 26th of June 2009, the police agency raised a cash reward leading for any lead that would you know, catch Ishinashi. So the cash reward was raised from 1 million yen to 10 million yen to try and get people to come forward, thinking, you know, this is a lot of money, I'm gonna, you know, tell you where he is because I want all this cash for myself. But no one did. And then on the 4th of November 2009, police disclosed that he had undergone some plastic surgery at a clinic in Nagoya, if I can say that correctly, where he'd had a nose uplifted. He'd had an increase in the height of his cheeks. He'd had the 2 moles removed off the side of his cheek, and he'd had like some folds put into his eyelids. And if you see the pictures of before and afterwards, you can see why a lot of people had not put 2 and 2 together and realised that it was the same person. I'll try and link those 2 pictures in for you so you can see. And of course, on a lot of the pictures that were out there of him, they had the 2 moles, and they were kind of making a big thing about these 2 moles. If you see this man, he's got 2 moles on the side of his face, but he'd undergone plastic surgery, and he'd spent £12,000 that he'd saved up from doing construction work here and there to be able to have this surgery. And it wasn't until he'd gone in for this surgery and one of the cosmetic surgeons saw the wanted poster and heard about how he'd had these 2 moles and put 2 and 2 together, and so she arranged an appointment with Ishinashi and then told the police, and so the police knew exactly where he was going to be and at what time. Ishinashi was detained by police for 23 days and he was being questioned. Now, in England, I don't know what it's like everywhere else, but you can only hold someone for 48 hours, and then you can get an extension on that if there is sufficient evidence to do so. What the situation is over there, I don't know, but they managed to detain him for 23 days for questioning. And as this was about to expire, they had to arrest him for something or risk him going on the run again. And so on the 2nd of December, they charged him with abandoning a body in order to keep him so that they could then get more evidence. And they had 2 warrants for rape and for murder. His lawyers said that he was threatened with the death penalty if he didn't speak up. And his lawyer said that his resistance was just due to fatigue and stress, and that's why he didn't want to talk. But on the 23rd of December, he did acknowledge that he'd been involved in Lindsay's death. So eventually, after he'd explained that he was involved in the death of Lindsay Hawker, he admitted to suffocating her to prevent her screaming as he tried to rape her. And he said that he did not intend to kill her, and he'd also attempted CPR when he realised she wasn't breathing anymore. But why there were scarves and ties over her, he did not explain that. Now in Japan, their judicial system operates a lay justice system and has the option of the death penalty in certain cases, but it's very rare, and it's usually for people who have prior convictions and have murdered more than one person. The family did want this for him, but I don't think in the end, I'll get to that at the end, but I don't think that was on the cards for Ishinashi. Ishinashi was sentenced for the rape and the murder of Lindsay Hawker, and like I said before, the death penalty was off the table. The court had felt that it was inappropriate for the death penalty and that he could be possibly rehabilitated because of his age in however many years to come. And the family, of course, were devastated. Her two sisters, her mum and dad, and you know, they felt that if she'd have come home, she could have become a GP, she may have married Ryan, she may have married somebody else, but she had this wonderful life ahead of her. She could have given them grandchildren one day, been a parent herself, and they were just overwhelmed by grief. And it got to the point where they said that they struggled to see other girls of a similar age to her that still had their lives, and at that point they realised that they were suffering from post-traumatic stress. They all needed counselling, and this drew them together instead of pulling them apart. I know some families, when somebody is murdered or somebody dies, it can pull families apart, but fortunately this did bring them all together, which is lovely. It's just horrible that her life had been taken away from her in the most unimaginable and most horrific circumstances. So if you are a young girl or a young boy travelling abroad to study or work abroad, just be careful. And I know Lindsay was careful, but there were certain things like going into somebody's apartment that you don't know when you're on your own. Just be so careful out there. Don't put yourself in harm's way. Don't do anything that could put yourself at risk, and always be double thinking and go with your gut instinct, because your gut could save your life by going with, you know, your instinct. Please just be careful out there. And thank you everybody for watching. If you could subscribe to my channel, I will be back with another video for you soon, and that will be the Philpott case, the case of the 6 children that died in the fire. That will be coming soon. But if you'd like to subscribe to my channel, that would be great. Thank you for listening, and stay safe, guys.